Hello, dear friends. Evil is trying to prevent us from being happy, said Rafael Tarot Sevilla. Opinion piece. UFOs over Iran. Cosmic alert. Critical moment. Accelerated shift. Divine providence. Change in timelines. Control of stargates. Direct manifestation. The true new year begins. Intervention from heaven. Let's start. I suspect that the coalition of worlds will end up intervening forcefully, as they did in Alpha Centauri, because the geopolitical situation is becoming increasingly complicated. They have the power to fix the world in a few hours, but they let us rot, so we learn our lesson. The problem is that many people have learned their lesson and are suffering the consequences of the ignorant who govern the world. Earth is now on high alert. It's time to eat patatas a la brava in spicy sauce. It's like someone slamming their fist on a table to end the fight, or like the roar of the lion in Narnia. Something similar is happening right now, with the sighting of a huge fleet of UFOs over Iran. Will they stop the war, and will the main revelation finally come to fruition? The battle being waged today in Iran centers in part on the control of stargates, both good and bad, according to Paul White Gold Eagle. Humanity is entering a stage where it must either continue obeying those who don't know, or align our lives with a consciousness that has already learned the lesson. Because when the coalition of worlds intervenes, it won't be to rescue destroyed systems. It will be to make way for those who are already prepared for another kind of world. Are you learning the lesson or just paying the price for the ignorance of others? It's like a children's fight, where parents have to intervene to make peace. We must recognize our mistakes and be willing to correct them. Many esoteric traditions speak of the world transition as never just technical correction, but a process of purification and reordering of consciousness. There is a talk of a higher power that is halting a chaos that human beings refuse to correct on their own. Divine providence allows suffering as a pedagogical process, not as an arbitrary punishment. It would be an intervention that doesn't ask for permission, but rather restores order through symbolic and, if necessary, drastic authority. Critical moment. Earth is undergoing a brutal transformation. There are thousands of starships surrounding the planet at this very moment, between the stratosphere and the troposphere, between the layers of the visible and the invisible. The planet is approaching a critical moment in which timelines are shifting. Changes in timelines are coming, as Anna Merkava reveals in an emergency transmission. It's not just something falling, everything is falling at once. It's the perfect storms of geopolitics, energy markets, and the financial system. What should I do now? Don't force an answer. Let your body receive it before your mind interprets it. Linda Moulton Howe says, "We are already exploring the stars in the company of galactic allies." She reveals that the Space Force has 3 secret ships for long-distance space travel to other stars in the galaxy, with tall whites and nautics on board, helping humans establish first contact. The USS Curtis LeMay has been sailing in outer space since 2003 and has visited 22 different catalogued solar systems. The USS Hoyt Vandenberg has the largest crew of tall whites and nautics from Sirius B on board to help facilitate first contact interaction, and uses the deep quantum tunneling effect to reduce 50 light years to just 5 Earth days. Equinox. The true new year begins now, the awakening of the spring equinox, the moment when the sun crosses the equator and day and night are perfectly balanced. This is the true turning point in nature. It is the instant when light begins its gradual ascent over darkness, and the entire planet transitions from stillness to creation. And this year, it doesn't arrive quietly. We find ourselves in the midst of an intense solar storm, with activity strong enough to alter the planet's magnetic field. Solar winds create visible auroras and shift in energy, mood, and perception. We have just emerged from Mercury retrograde, a period of reflection and readjustment that may have seemed slow or confusing. Now, as it moves toward the equinox, clarity sharpens and energy begins to flow again. At the same time, Aries season begins, the start of the astrological year. Aries is the spark, the driving force, bringing fire to the body, clarity to the mind, and restoring dynamism to life. The cosmos isn't whispering right now, it's expanding. Opinions. Putin said that the vampire dance is coming to an end, in quotes. The White Rabbit says they always leave clues. Masonic symbols hidden in plain sight in Hollywood movies. Saul Sadka says the revolutionary guard is trying to blow up the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount in an attempt to set the regime ablaze. Barbara Boyd reveals why Trump is considering leaving NATO. It's not about the price of oil. It's about dismantling the enforcement arm of the British financial empire. Laura Loomer faces controversy after her meeting with the Dalai Lama in India. The Dalai Lama was mentioned 169 times in Epstein's mails, and she met with him on several occasions at his private residence, according to the Shadow of Ezra. According to Victor Davis Hanson, Europeans never agree to engage in conflict unless they believe the winning side is already predetermined. They didn't help in the early days. Now they are starting to move. That movement isn't idealism, it's calculation. They have observed the battlefield and decided how this will end. In 2015, Edward Snowden put an end to the idea that privacy doesn't matter. When you say, I don't care about the right to privacy because I have nothing to hide, it's the same as saying, I don't care about free speech because I have nothing to say. Simply obeying the law doesn't mean you are exempt from interference in your private life. Rob Cunningham believes that politicians are manipulated by financial interests, leading to a disconnect from their true identity and purpose. Liars deceive, divide, and destroy by controlling the narrative. The power of life and death resides in language. The money changers run the censorship industrial complex, where the truth must be suppressed so the attack control can reign. We are going to change their script. USA. Trump tries to pardon Edward Snowden. Waves of drones besieged a strategic base in Louisiana for days. The Pentagon will adopt Palantir's AI as its core system. Elon Musk found guilty of defaming Twitter to devalue it. Musk is building a sovereign chip chain. Chuck Norris died at 86 after being hospitalized in Hawaii. More than 5,500 people forced to evacuate due to the risk of a dam collapsing in Hawaii. Red Hat sized the list of 103 Hollywood pedophiles, compiled by actor Val Kilmer, according to Real Raw News. Former FBI director confirms 9/11 was an inside job. New York governor pleads with wealthy taxpayers to stop leaving the state. Spain. Spain denies cooperating in U.S. military mission against Iran. Trump welcomes the U.S. withdrawal from the Rota and Moron military bases. Trump considers a withdrawal from bases in Spain and other allies justified. The Ministry of Defense refuses to reveal the number of U.S. aircraft that stopped that stop over in Rota. The National University of Distance Education launched a course on hybrid strategies of Russia, China, Israel, and Iran. Military salary incentives fail to combine. A military association is demanding that the profession be considering high risk due to the situation of troops in Lebanon and Iraq. Women make up 70% of the Spanish armed forces. A Spanish Eurofighter took off in Romania to intercept a Russian drone. The Parachute Brigade tested new drones during NATO exercises in Germany. A high-ranking Iranian official threatened a base in Turkey housing over 100 Spanish artillerymen equipped with a Patriot missile battery. Debate with the armed forces. Should a 1,000 euros drone be shot down with 1 million euros missile? The Spanish Air Force warns of the risk of cheap drones overwhelming air defenses. The Ministry of Defense is already discussing extending the service life of the F-18s until 2020 and 35 or 40. The Spanish Legion is facing resistance in Ukraine to sending soldiers for training in Spain. Spanish Navy detects a Russian destroyer and oil tanker in waters near Balearic Islands. A message from the frigate Cristobal Colón in Greece moves the Ministry of Defense and reveals its role. The frigate Santa Maria crosses the Arctic Circle for the first time. The Spanish Army attracts teenagers at the education fair. The Royal Navy reinforces Gibraltar with drones to monitor aircraft carriers. Americas. The US has banned Cuba from importing Russian oil. Cancun has become a hub for human trafficking, according to Paul White Gold Eagle. The cults that practice the Holy Death cult have found Mexico to be a fertile ground for sacrifices in Mayan temples. The Baal cult is worldwide. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.